Hello again. Well, it's now the 4th of December and we're back again to tell you a story or two. I was very small as a child and I didn't start growing until I was much older. I was so small that grown-ups often felt like giants to me. Have you ever felt like that? The world seems like an enormous place sometimes, doesn't it? Funnily enough, it always seems even bigger in the dark. The story that Benjamin's mum tells him tonight is one that really excites me. The thought of meeting a real giant, not just a tall man. Would you like me to read it for you now? Okay. On December the 4th, Benjamin opened the next door and saw a giant. For 3 days and 3 nights, the little bear followed the star. It was a long way to Bethlehem. His path led him through a deep forest. Suddenly, the little bear heard music. He sat down to rest, leaning back against the trunk of a tree, listening to the music. He thought longingly of his soft, warm bed at home. The music faded, and the tree trunk moved. "Hey, you!" the rumble came from behind him. "You're sitting on my leg!" Startled, the little bear jumped up. "A giant!" he stammered. "What are you doing here?" "I'm practicing," said the giant. "Don't disturb me." He picked up his harmonica and continued playing. "What are you practicing for?" asked the little bear. "I have heard that a child will be born in Bethlehem. People call him the King of Kings. I must find a special star to guide me so that I can go to the child and play my most beautiful song for him." "I've seen that star," said the little bear. "The star with the tail?" "Then show it to me." The giant lifted the little bear onto his back and walked through the dark forest. The little bear pointed proudly to the sky. "See how my star shines." The giant jerked to a halt. "That's the one!" he cried loudly. Then he lifted the startled little bear down from his shoulders and ran off. "The little bear helped the big giant, didn't he, Mother?" said Benjamin. "Yes," Mother Bear replied. "Even the small and weak can help those bigger and stronger to find their way." That's so true, isn't it? No matter how small we might think we are, we can still help people to find their way. We're going to go now through our Advent calendar window and see what lies for us on the other side. Well, our scene's building up a bit more. We haven't really heard much of the story though, have we? We do have the shepherds, or a shepherd. We've got a man who's carrying wood. We've got a lady shepherd as well, or a lady with some sheep. Let's have a look and see what our next character is. It's another lady again, and this time it's a lady who's praying. Prayer's really important, isn't it? Prayer's not anything fancy or anything special. It's just simply that talking to God, talking to Jesus. We can do that at any time, any place, anywhere, just like having a conversation, just chatting away, just as we would chat to our best friend. And that's what this lady looks like she's doing. She's got a big smile on her face as well, so she's clearly happy, and she's got a little cat, so she can't be all bad, can she? Because we all love animals, don't we? Let's pop it into our nativity scene, see how it goes. So come back tomorrow night and we'll be on our 5th one. That's our 5th character in the story. Look forward to seeing you then. So do you think it's going to snow this year? I do hope so. Not that really wet and miserable snow, but soft, fluffy flakes that settle on the ground, turning the whole world white. I remember when I was young, that excitement of waking up on a school day to find that there was a blanket of white on the ground, and the fun of sledging and snowball fights on the schoolyard. When I was young, we didn't have the nice plastic sledges that you get nowadays. My sledge was built by my granddad. It was wooden and yellow with a big colourful cross painted on it. And it was both terrifying and exciting as I hurtled down a hillside near my home. Shall we hear a story about some children who go out sledging? This is called Sledge Ride to Adventure. Come on, hurry up and get dressed, shouted Sue from outside her brother's room one winter morning. We can go for a sleigh ride today. Yippee, we're coming, yelled Jacob and John. They threw their toys in one corner and went racing into the hall. They quickly put on their snowshoes and their winter boots. Mum dug out some warm hats and suitable gloves out of the cupboard and said, "It's certainly time you three wild ones got a bit of fresh air. Have fun on the sledge, but take care as well." "Bye, Mum. We might bring you back a nice bunch of snowdrops," cried Sue. "Or a polar bear," said John. "Or a snow monster," giggled Jacob. "I'd rather you brought back happy faces and hungry tummies," laughed Mum. "Off you go." The three children took the big family sleigh out of the shed and then plodded up the sleigh track that Dad had cleared with his snowblower. When they reached the top, puffing and panting, they all looked around. Everything was so beautiful. For 3 days, thick flakes had been falling from the sky, but now the sun had transformed the whole world into a winter wonderland. The children didn't stand there gazing for long. "I'll steer," shouted Sue. "All aboard, hold tight, and away we go." As if it was on rails, the great sled slid smoothly down into the valley. The children whooped with delight. When they reached the bottom, John and Jacob shouted, "Let's do it again." And so the three of them plodded uphill again. It was all very quiet in the enchanted winter forest. They could hear nothing but their own breathing and the soft crunching of their boots. But suddenly they heard something else. A low grunting and growling, then a loud wheezing and whining. It sounded very strange and mysterious. "Help! What is it?" asked the frightened Sue. "Maybe a polar bear," thought John. "Or a snow monster," whispered Jacob. "Rubbish," said Sue. "There aren't any polar bears or snow monsters here." The three children held their breath and listened intently. Now the noises were more like a long drawn-out sob. "Wah." "It's a ghost," screeched John and clutched hold of his sister. But she said, "Don't be silly. Whoever heard of a ghost walking around in the morning?" She listened carefully again and then said firmly, "I'm going to have a look. Maybe someone needs help." "We'll go with you to protect you," said John and Jacob, their voices trembling. They left their sleigh and trudged hand in hand into the forest. The soft snow swallowed the sound of their footsteps, but the grunting, growling and howling now got louder and louder. "It must be coming from behind there," Sue whispered to her brothers, pointing to a snow-covered bush. Carefully, they inched closer and closer, their hearts beating wildly. And then they saw it. Lying in the deep snow was a giant reindeer. Its huge antlers had got caught in a wire fence, and it couldn't stand up. When it scented the children, it pulled violently at the wires, let out a roar and tried desperately to crawl away, but it couldn't. "Oh no, that must be Santa Claus's reindeer," whispered John, horrified. "If we don't set it free, we children won't get our Christmas presents," said Jacob. Sue nodded and pulled her brothers back behind the bush so that the poor reindeer would not become even more distressed. "Come on, we must get Dad." As fast as they could, the children trudged back through the snow to the sleigh and slid down into the valley. With anxious voices, they told their parents what they'd found. Dad immediately put on his coat and went to get a wire cutter from the shed. Then the children showed him the way. This time, when they crept towards the reindeer, its voice was already hoarse and weak. Dad approached it carefully from the side and managed to cut through the wires. Then he pulled the wire fence until it came away from the antlers, and the great beast was free again. It rose unsteadily to its feet and cautiously shook its head. The children would have liked to have shouted and cheered, but they kept quiet. They watched intently to see if the reindeer would fly away, but it stood there and looked at them with its beautiful dark brown eyes for a long time. Then it nodded to them, slowly turned, and strode away majestically into the forest. A moment later, it was gone. "What you did was really, really great," said Dad proudly, giving his 3 children a hug. And Santa Claus must have thought the same, because he brought an especially nice extra present for Sue, John and Jacob. On it was a message, a memento, with thanks. Wow, imagine meeting one of Father Christmas's reindeers in real life. I bet that would have been amazing. What would you have done? Would you have helped to set it free? I bet you would. Tomorrow we go from a giant to an ant, as well as hearing a story all about a very special wish list. And I look forward to seeing you then. But till then, good night.